Okay, Riverview, Florida, pros and cons. Here we go. I'm Sam, and thanks for coming by the Living in Tampa channel, where we make these videos for you about what it's like to live and move to Tampa. We're also a team of realtors, and we would love to earn your business. Please call, text, or email anytime, and we would love to see how we can help. If you missed the previous Riverview video, kind of Riverview Explained, that's linked up above, I do recommend watching that one before this one. This is really just pros and cons. We'll get into more of some of the dynamics of this area, but if you missed that one, I think you should check that one out first. But let's get into it. Pros and cons of Riverview. As we said in the other video, Riverview is about 95,000 people out here on the east side of Tampa. Really connected to Brandon, the Brandon Riverview area. People kind of think of that as it's a whole area. And even though Riverview has about 95,000 people, it connects to Brandon, which has another 100,000. And then it connects to these surrounding areas, which have another 30,000. So it feels more like it's 230,000, 250,000 than it feels like 95,000. And we'll get into why that is a problem with the cons. Con number one is traffic. Now, if you're coming from New York City, like people call me all the time, and they're like, is the traffic actually bad? No, it's not. This is the area where it's unpredictably bad. Now, most of the Tampa area is commute traffic. So you're going to be slowed down 30% during typical commute times of like going to work, coming home from work, school drop-off, school pickup. Yeah, then the spring break traffic increases a little bit. It's not crazy. But this is the area where so many people are dependent on the same highways to get in and out of Tampa that it just gets kind of crazy. And I had some clients visiting recently. They checked out that area to look at Fishhawk because Fishhawk has pretty good schools. And they were like ruled out the area after being there just a couple hours because they got stuck in traffic for an hour to try to go 10 miles. And they were just like ruled out, like we can't like risk having this kind of traffic just happen randomly. So that's con number one, traffic. Con number two, and this is something that somebody brought up in the Apollo Beach video recently, which is also linked above. Somebody brought up that all this growth around this whole area is just going to make this traffic and congestion worse. Most of the roads in and out of here, like Highway 41 and Highway 301, are like 2-lane highways. Then you have the interstate, which goes in between those two, but it's still just not much for this amount of population that lives really between Brandon and Waimama down to the south, or Ruskin down to the south, even down to like Parrish. People are taking the same path if they're having to go in and out of Tampa. So people in that area are feeling that the growth might make all of this congestion worse. So number two is growth. Like growth is a con. Maybe growth is a pro to you, but the people that live there right now are viewing that growth as a con because the infrastructure can't handle it. And this area has experienced growth in the past that was just a little too fast. In the early 2000s, this area grew by like a few 100% every single year. And it just hasn't caught up. And it's hard when a city's growing, the suburbs are just trying to keep up with the demand. And this area kept up with the demand, but sacrificed some of the infrastructure and thoughtfulness that people wish existed out there. Some of that thoughtfulness does exist now in the northern suburbs that are quite a bit more expensive. But these master plan developments going up into like Wesley Chapel and Land O'Lakes, they have a little bit more intentionality in the way they're doing things. I think the county, state, and cities have learned some of these lessons to like force these developers to do things a certain way if they're going to build these big neighborhoods. Okay, con number three is the beaches are far away. So if you're moving to Florida thinking, I'm gonna go to the beach, yeah, there's Apollo Beach. It's like a preserved beach, you can't swim in it. There is a swimming beach over there somewhere. I've struggled to find it. It's not that clear. If you wanna go to the beaches in Pinellas County, they're gonna be at least an hour away. Now you're gonna hit that unpredictable traffic, which could make them 2 hours away. Actually, when I looked on the map now, it said between an hour and 2 hours. That's pretty intense. You could go to the southern beaches, you could go down to St. Pete Beach, or you could go down to like Anna Maria or Bradenton, or even down into like Siesta Key, Sarasota area. If you lived on the south side of Riverview, you'd be a little bit closer to that than you would to Clearwater Beach. And those beaches are really nice, but it's still an hour at least. And maybe that's close enough for you. You're far from the beaches now, you just want to be a little closer. You want it to be, you know, an hour or two away, and then you'll go for a day trip occasionally. That's good enough for you. Maybe you're there, but if you're wanting easy access to the beach, like, this is not the area to live. Okay, and then con number 4, this is the last con. This area is a little bit boring compared to the north suburbs, which are the other main chunk of suburbs around Tampa. As I said, they are more expensive, but they have a lot more preserve land. There's a lot more outdoor activities. There's even just like better shopping. And honestly, I don't care about shopping, but just like nicer outlet malls, even some of these suburban areas that are trying to build downtowns and have a little bit more of that town vibe. So compared to the north suburbs, compared to the east suburbs, the north suburbs win all day long. Even if you're in a smaller house, they just have more to do up there. Not to mention easier access to downtown. Now it might take longer, but it's easier. And that's a big difference. Easier access to the beaches, easier access to the airport, easier access to a lot of stuff. And honestly, I just kind of prefer the northern suburbs. I don't feel like I like drink the Wesley Chapel Kool-Aid too much, but I just like the nature up there. I feel like nature is quite a bit more accessible. And if you missed the video about the Angeline, the new neighborhood in Land O'Lakes, the neighborhood's gonna be like surrounded by preserve areas, and there's just quite a bit more of that up there. Now, there are preserve areas in every area of Florida, and in Riverview and Brandon too, but they're just a little different. Okay, and I promise there are some pros. Pro number 1 is price. This area is definitely cheaper than those northern suburbs. You can get more of a feel of like an entry-level house, a starter home. Like, that's a little bit more achievable out in these eastern suburbs. Now Tampa has gotten expensive. I think it's too expensive right now. My house that we bought in September 2020, right now is April 2023, and it has appreciated 50%. So we paid $300,000 for it. I could sell it for at least $450 right now. And my insurance is a mess. Like, it's so expensive to live as close as I do to the water. We don't live on the water. We live in a neighborhood that touches the water, and it's just, insurance is crazy expensive, but it's still, somebody would easily pay $450 for it right now. So out in this area, prices are just a little bit more realistic for the area. Comparatively, they're still expensive though. Like, Florida's expensive now, especially Tampa. Pro number 2 is space. This is one of the areas that Tampa is growing. Now, whether you like that growth or not, whether it adds to congestion or not, that's a different discussion. But there is space out to the east of here. As you go out on the east side of Riverview in Bloomingdale, as you go into Lithia and Fishhawk, those areas, there is more space. There's more space to do all kinds of things. And I think eventually this area will connect over to Lakeland. I think that will happen over the next, couple decades. But that growth is happening out there because that is where a lot of the space is. And there's mostly not space on the other side because of water. There's water that touches, the west side of this area. There's water that touches downtown. And then Pinellas County is mostly surrounded by water. Pro number 3, obviously debatable. I kind of had this debate with myself already in the cons, is growth. I like growth. I like the potential of like, oh, this place could improve, that we could get better things and nicer things and that kind of thing. Right now's the time where you feel early in that. So you're dealing with the congestion. You're dealing with the schools not being as good as you wish they were. You're dealing with all these kind of things where the roads will probably improve. They'll probably add a toll road down there that like opens everything up. But toll roads take a long time to build. That's not like a simple thing that happens overnight. Maybe they'll extend the Selman Expressway like down into that area. But yeah, like I said, that would take a long time. That doesn't happen like overnight. That doesn't happen within 5 years even. That's like a 10, 20-year project. Okay, and the final pro is this area can access downtown usually pretty quickly because you can get up to the Selman Expressway and then get into downtown. Now, as I said, it's pretty unpredictable. The traffic to get up to that Selman Expressway, depending on where you live in Riverview, you might be dealing with a lot of commuters doing the exact same thing. But once you get to that expressway, it's really fast to get to downtown, even to get to the other side of downtown, like the West Shore area. And that kind of access is one of the reasons that makes this area attractive to people. Maybe they want a starter home that's kind of suburban vibe, but they don't have any kids yet, and so they want to go downtown and eat at all the cool restaurants. And a lot of people call and have that scenario, and we end up looking in this area. We don't often settle in this area, which is telling to me, but I also have my own biases. Like, I just don't really like this area. I have some of the flexibility that would allow me to live out there, but I like the northern area so much more, or even like the north side of Pinellas County so much more, because nature is so much more accessible, because even nature is bigger. The trees are bigger, the water's bigger, like those kind of things. It feels a little bit more, I don't know, I just like the feel of it more. As always, whether Riverview is right for you or not, we would love a chance to win your business. So give us a call, text, or email anytime. We'll set up a Zoom call, get face-to-face, kind of discuss everything that you're looking for and all the ways that we could help. Thanks for coming by.